Hey everybody, so I want to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs new look defense because obviously defense was a big problem for them last year. It was the clear weak spot of that team, and after being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs again for the third year in a row, it was obvious that something needed to be done defensively for the Maple Leafs. Now, they've made a number of moves this offseason, a lot that I haven't even covered in videos, but I really want to focus in this video on the defense, including the last two major trades that they've made, bringing in Tyson Barrie and bringing in Cody Ceci. And I want to look and see just how much this defense has changed, how much it's gotten better, and what that means going into next season. So here on this side, we have the defensemen that they have added this offseason, and here on the left, we have the defensemen that they have lost. Let's start with who they've lost off of their defense core from last year. Ron Hainsey was an unrestricted free agent, signed in Ottawa. Jake Gardiner is also an unrestricted free agent, although I do not believe he has signed yet. I've heard nothing about him signing anywhere, so Jake Gardiner, still a UFA, but as of now, he is no longer a Maple Leaf, and they're not going to have the money to bring him back, so he'll be going somewhere else. And Nikita Zaitsev, they traded away in the deal that brought Cody Ceci and Ben Harpur to Ottawa, or from Ottawa to Toronto. Now, segueing right into that, they have made two major deals. They've added Tyson Barrie from the Colorado Avalanche in the Nazem Kadri trade, which I think is a massive addition for the Maple Leafs. And then in the Nikita Zaitsev and Connor Brown deal, they sent those two to Ottawa, and they brought back Cody Ceci and Ben Harpur. So this is very much a new look defense. They still have Morgan Rielly, Jake Muzzin's under contract for another year, and they still have Travis Dermott. So they do have some remaining pieces, but they have made three big changes to this lineup, adding Barrie, Ceci, and Ben Harpur. But how much better does it make them? So Tyson Barrie is the number one thing that I think makes this team better. Tyson Barrie I like a lot. He's a very good player. He had 58 points last year with the Avalanche, including 14 goals. He plays over 20 minutes a night. He's a very solid defenseman. He has got plenty of offensive jump, although I would call him a two-way defenseman more than an offensive defenseman, because he isn't, I don't think he's necessarily a liability in his own end. So I do think he's a decent enough two-way defenseman. And he's without a doubt a top four guy. So he adds a lot to this defense core for the Maple Leafs. He is a nice addition. Cody Ceci. Well, before I get to Ceci, the problem with Barrie, he's an unrestricted free agent after next season. That's going to be a recurring theme as we go along here. Cody Ceci coming in from Ottawa. Now, Cody Ceci is a 25-year-old right-shot defenseman. Can be a liability in his own end. Part of it is probably the fact that he was playing on Ottawa, and Ottawa was absolutely awful, but he looks lost in his own end sometimes, and he's not great defensively. He was minus 22 with the Senators last year, and I know people don't like plus minus that much anymore, but I still, when you have extremes, you know, if someone's minus 3, it's not a big deal, but when you have extremes, either really good or really bad, I think plus minus does tell you something, and Cody Ceci was minus 22 last year with the Senators. Now, part of that is certainly being on a bad team, but if you just watch him play, he can be an issue defensively, and that's kind of been the issue with Toronto. You know, guys like Morgan Rielly, guys like Jake Gardiner. Now, Rielly's much better than Gardiner, but they have that offensive ability there. It's their own end where they struggle sometimes, and I think you're getting more of the same with Cody Ceci in that situation. Yeah, he might give you something offensively, maybe, 35, 40 points, but he's going to struggle in his own end at times. And then Ben Harper, listen, Ben Harper is a bottom pair defenseman. He's a guy that I like. I really like him. He's a physical player. He fights. He's a big kid. 6'6", 222, really big guy. I like Ben Harper, but I like him as a bottom pair defenseman, and that's what he is. If he gets pushed up, which right now it doesn't look like he's going to have to be, because you're going to have Morgan, Barry, or you're going to have Morgan Riley, Tyson Barry, Jake Muzzin, and Cody Ceci as your top four, meaning Ben Harper will be on the bottom pair, and that's where he belongs. But he can play decent enough minutes in that role. Not going to give you really anything offensively, but he's physical, he's tough, he's big, he's a defensive defenseman, and he brings some much needed toughness to the Maple Leafs lineup, which has been an issue for them the past few years as well. Defense and toughness have been the two biggest things missing from the Maple Leafs, and it's why they've been an early playoff exit year after year. Harper brings some toughness. He can fight 6, 7, 8 times in a season. And on a team that doesn't really have any other toughness, like Toronto, he's probably going to have to fight that much, if not more. So I do like the addition of Harper as a bottom pair guy. So overall, I do think that I do think that Toronto's defense is going to be better this coming season than it was this past year. It's already better on paper. Adding Tyson Barrie, adding Cody Ceci and Ben Harper, that makes them better than what they lost. Ron Hainsey getting very high up there in age. Gardner, good player, but turnover machine. And Zaitsev, I couldn't stand. I absolutely hate Nikita Zaitsev. I think he is absolute trash. He is no loss there for the Maple Leafs. So I do think that their defense got better, and they've made some really good moves, and that's a good thing, and that's scary for the rest of the division, because now Toronto has an actual defense that looks like an NHL defense, and with that forward group, that makes them a scary team. However, at the end of next season, the only defenseman on their roster that they will have signed beyond next year, or right now, the only defenseman that they have signed beyond this coming season, next year, is Morgan Riley. Tyson Barrie is a UFA in 2020. Jake Muzzin is a UFA in 2020. Cody Ceci will be, I'm not sure if he'll be a UFA or an RFA, but he will be up. His contract will be up. He only signed a 1-year deal at $4.5 million with Toronto for this coming season. Ben Harper is an RFA after next season, and I'm not sure. Travis Dermott is an RFA after 2020. So is Justin Holl. Justin Holl will be a UFA. He's probably the number 7 guy. He will be a UFA after 2020. So no one is signed beyond next year defensively except for Morgan Riley for the Maple Leafs. That, I think, is going to be a problem. They're still up against the cap. They still haven't signed Mitch Marner. They've fixed their defense. They've got all these deals done defensively. They still haven't signed Mitch Marner. They only have about $11 million in cap space. I don't know what the deal with Marner is. They might still have to move one more guy. They might not. I'm not sure. They might be able to get Marner at $11 million and then just be right up against the cap. I don't know. But they haven't signed Marner yet. And their defense is entirely up after next season as far as contracts are concerned, except for Morgan Riley. So it's still, while they've definitely fixed their defense for this coming season, there still does not appear to be a long-term solution here, and they're still in salary cap trouble. So things are not all bright and sunny in Toronto land, although things are certainly better now, especially defensively, than they were, 3 weeks ago. I do like the moves that they've made, and I think they've made themselves better defensively, all with guys under the age of 30 as well. Jake Muzzin is the only guy on that back end 30 years old. Everyone else is under 30. So they've got to, it's just a matter of getting these guys signed if they can. But I do like the moves that they've made. They have made their team better, that is for sure. Another issue, who's not going to make the playoffs next year from the Atlantic Division? Because Tampa Bay, listen, we all know what happened to the playoffs. We know that they're in salary cap trouble, but they've still got Kucherov. They still got Vasilevsky, Hedman, McDonough, Stamkos. They're still going to be good next season. Boston hasn't really added anything this offseason, but they haven't really lost much either. They've lost Nola Chari. They're going to lose Marcus Johansson. Marcus Johansson didn't do anything for the Bruins in the regular season. He was good in the playoffs. He didn't do anything for them in the regular season. So Boston is basically bringing back almost the exact same team that just went to the Stanley Cup final. They're going to be good. Florida has made some big-time moves to push themselves into playoff contention. Getting an elite goaltender in Sergei Bobrovsky obviously is the big thing. They've signed Anton Strawman. They brought in Brett Connolly. They've made some moves. So now you're going to have a talented Florida team pushing for a playoff spot. You have Boston, who's going to be a playoff team. You have Tampa Bay, who's going to be a playoff team. You have Toronto now, who is, should be a playoff team, certainly. Fighting now in that group, somebody's not going to make the playoffs unless, not necessarily, technically all four of those teams could get in, but you've got other teams looking to improve as well. It's going to be a dogfight. You have the Metro Division, which could get 5 teams in the postseason. Again, that would knock it down to 3 in the Atlantic. It's too early to be looking ahead to next year, really, but making the playoffs is going to be very, very difficult in the Eastern Conference next year, because I think there are a lot of teams that think that they're playoff teams. Especially basically the entire Metro Division thinks that they can make the playoffs, with New Jersey getting better, the Rangers getting better. The rest of them made it last year pretty much. So you've got a lot of teams that think they're going to be a playoff team next year in the Eastern Conference, and you only have 8 spots. I think there are going to be 10 or 11 teams that really could be playoff teams, and it's going to be a dogfight, and some teams are going to be left on the outside looking in. And I don't think Toronto is going to be one of them. If they are, that would be a major disappointment and a huge problem. What I don't like is the fact that their entire defense core, except for one guy, has a contract expiring after next season. It's going to be another long off season next year in 2020 for the Maple Leafs, trying to make all of this work with the salary cap. But anyway, with that, I wanted to talk about their new look defense. I think they've gotten a lot better, and they've helped fix a major problem on that team. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Please keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. We are on a road to 1,000 subscribers. Not there yet. Subs have kind of stalled out here the last couple of weeks, but hopefully that picks up again. So if you can help out, please do in spreading the word, and make sure you like and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you guys soon.